Welcome back trackside here at Winton Motor Raceway. We are absolutely frothing at the mouth, getting ourselves ready for these tribute cars, and I don't care what anyone says, whether they're ones that race in the day or they're being built as a tribute. I've just been informed that I was totally tricked this morning when I went for a wander down in the paddock. I thought I was looking at the real thing. I was looking at the tribute car, so let me tell you, this is absolutely gets the blood pumping. We all remember at least one of these eras. We're just looking at that 635 Porsche going through our screen there as well. Remember Rusty French and Alan Jones in the Australian GTs running those cars. But I tell you what, these tribute cars, you don't even have to sort of half close your eyes and blur it a little bit. In fact, you've got to open your eyes and you've got to have a real good look at them to see what they're all about, and they are absolutely magnificent looking pieces of kit. This is again a Regularity. I'm Darren Smith. Right alongside me is a guy that is so passionate about this category that he was right in on the ground floor when these tribute cars started to make their way into the Australian motorsport landscape, and there's no other than Brett Florence. Brett, welcome to the 2024 Winton Festival of Speed. This is your baby almost out there on track at the moment, isn't it?
Sure is, Darren. It's grown from 10, 15 cars that we had just traditionally running in the Regularity through to now. When you look at it, we've got over 30 cars, and there's probably another 15 cars that have been built around the country that all want to come on board as well. So it's a category that's grown, and these guys are just out doing either a sprint or Regularity. And the cars, as you said, they're absolutely fantastic.
One car that I'm just looking at is that one, the second on the road there, which is running an engine which isn't exactly correct, and I guess that's what the tribute cars are about. But that's got Johnny Pilotto's Victorian Sports Sedan Championship X engine in it, a fuel-injected modern engine. We're just seeing Nick Higgins come into the paddock there. You were talking, or Nick had spoken to you earlier. Has he got an issue with the Corolla?
No, I'm surprised it's coming to after now. But as you said, some of the cars are running late model Atlas engines. Been no problem there. That's got LS in the moment. As you said, Pilotto's car. Sorry, that car. And then others are traditional 5-litre Holden, 3-litre Cleveland, and what belongs to the Europe.
Well, I guess when you say in the era, I'm just looking at that VL Holden that went through the screen. Those cars had to have a very special homologated, they weren't allowed to run over 5 litre, so they ran the 304 type of Holden engine. And that, let's say 5 litre or 308 type Holden engine, that's got to be pretty hard to be getting parts for these days.
They're expensive. They'll know exactly how much they cost to build, and some of these guys have, just because they're that makes it easier they won't be able
Certainly is. Now, Brett, you're a guy that lives on facts and figures and like to get forensically involved with these racing cars. Do you ever get down there and give a bit of a nitpick on the sign writing or anything like that? Because I was talking to a guy down in the pits and said, this just looks exactly like the car. And he said, except for this and except for that. And people that know. And I said, well, from here, I thought but from where I'm looking at, this car looks mint. And he pointed at a couple of little things on the car and I went, nah, didn't even notice it. Yeah, these Porsches really do stand out as an era, don't they? Those IROC cars that all those superstars of the motorsport world ran in the US in that particular era. And for those out there, we do apologise for the microphone issue we're having with Brett and with Ron before. We're working feverishly to get that particular technical glitch rectified for you. So yes, Brett is sounding just a little bit quiet at the moment, but we are working on that. Here's one which gets all the local hearts beating. That Volkswagen Fastback, which, you know, for all intents and purposes, you want to get forensic, then that's a car to do it with, because that thing was built out of McLaren Formula One bits and pieces, and Peter Fowler's gone back in time and rebuilt that car to be perfect. I guess its home is more in that historic Group U sports sedan field, but it's a tribute, so it's running with these cars out on track at the moment.
It sure is, and with this car here, and to the earlier spec,
there it is, that number 17. So locals from Wang initially, and of course they went on from setting lap records and winning races in sports sedans in the early days to the which we'll see in the historic sports sedans. We'll see the Merc that Tomo drove very, very well as well. Here's another magnificent looking piece of kit. Bob Jane entered car as well. Let's have a bit of a look now at our timesheets for the tribute cars in this regularity, and it's the number 11 that is getting closest to the mark there at the moment, and we're talking about Travis Kirby in the Holden Commodore blue, red, white and blue, and I dare say that was the Citizen sponsored car that you touched on before that is very, very close to the replica. We've got a couple of cars just off at turn 1 there as well, the Rowell VK Commodore off. So Travis is the car leading the way there. Then we've got the number 95 of Smith there as well. So that's Ian Smith, again a Commodore 1985 all white car there as well. Then it's the 63 of Peter Mason Ford Escort Coupe, the Monza red car. Now there's a number of red Escorts out there at the moment, so just seeing that. These are a couple of really good period cars as well, aren't they, that we're seeing on screen?
Yeah, they sure are. It's a white car, and that's only brand new. It's his first event, and Roger drives. And this is the second time Roger's been this. So yeah, they're two fantastic. They're very, very good.
The Dylan Innes car was I believe, a COVID project that had got awful serious pretty quickly, didn't it?
It sure did, and he's a local engine builder.
So we know Cave Hill Engines were involved early days in XL racing, and certainly involved with Nick Higgins' car, which in the Corolla, which I also like looking at Nick's car. He runs that in improved production in the State Series as well, and a really cool looking tribute Toyota there as well, and he's done a tremendous job with that. Let's just keep having a look down the screen for who's who in the zoo here. It's car number 50, David Rowell in the Commodore, the 84 Commodore in position 3. Travis Kirby's dropped down to 4, so the Peter Mason Escort has gone into 1. Here's the other thing with regularity, isn't it? It's not that you're bringing the big horsepower and your 355 stroker or something like that. You could have a 2-litre near enough road going Pinto engine in an Escort and do okay.
And that's exactly right. Those little Escorts there, the list of record, to be honest with you, they just over and have a go at it. That's a fantastic car. It's unusual to run.
Just looking for the Rover SD1, Martin Ball, the 82, and the SD1. Wow, didn't that just set the world of Group A racing alight? They came over here, and I think locally in Australia, the SD1 mobile cars were probably the first introductions Aussies had to Tom Walkinshaw, wasn't it?
Exactly. And I mean, you look throughout Europe, and they are fast cars over there in the Bastos colours. So, there's the great cars. just something totally different. You know, you wanted that to go. But you've also very production. It's just very Carl Gibbs, his father, you know, he raced it here at Winton back in the day, and it's just just a very early car. It's a great opportunity to have a run, so you know, it's something different.
Travis Kirby, we just got a good look at there, currently sitting in P3. Car 1 emblazoned down the side, and why wouldn't you if you're going to have that car? Who doesn't remember the 1-2 across the line at Mount Panorama? That's, where is he? Currently 5th on the road there, Roger Chazais, the Ford Falcon XB GT, 5.8 litre. And here is the Trans-Alloy entry there as well. So Mason leading the way and doing a nice job. Just trying to pick up a couple of the other cars there that we would know around the top end of the track here at the Winton Motor Raceway, getting a look right across the property. Now, Brett, you're not just synonymous with these cars, you're kind of synonymous along with Ian Ross and the rest of the organising committee for putting on the Winton Festival of Speed in 2024, and just emblazoned across the screen at the moment the likes of Equity One, Wonderland RV coming on board and supporting what's going on with the Festival of Speed here this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, with our traditional sponsors from Shannons and Cool Drive Auto Parts, you know, we've got some great sponsors for the club. Coming on board just makes this event, you know, everyone raises the profile of the event. You know, we've got a whole lot of other sponsors that assist throughout the weekend as well. That you know, they help and everything helps. So that's great.
Yeah, and you touch on that. This actual event right now is the McDonald Auto from Wangaratta, the McDonald Auto Regularity for Tribute Cars. So a big shout out to the McDonald Automotive crew from Wangaratta. This is your event. I hope you're enjoying it, and the cars certainly look to be really enjoying it. And the times keep changing, but I'll tell you what, right at the top of the sheet at the moment, Peter Mason in that Ford Escort Coupe is holding absolute station there, looking for that number 16, the stanza that just came through down there in 21st there, and that's the Nissan Bluebird, sorry, number 15 Nissan Bluebird, and it's doing just inside those numbers there. I guess you want to try and get inside the top 10. Dylan Innes in that car we were talking about, the Perkins Engineering Red VL, just inside. So there's the landmark, or David Thomas in the Bluebird there as well, us and McDonald. So JPS 326 Jaguar, I guess we were used to seeing the JRA cars racing here in Australia. 326, must have been some numbers available in the system. Vincent Neville in the XJS 5.3 litre V12, and he'll certainly be looking to head down to the Race Fuels petrol station down at near the pit entry road there. Big shout out to the crew down at Race Fuels, part of one of those supplier networks that do such a tremendous job. I believe they've got so many other events on this weekend that they're going to be checking out early here today. So if you've got to get, you're here at the track and you need to get any fuel, head down to Race Fuels. In fact, if you need any fuel at any time for your racing car, they've got trackside pumps at Phillip Island, Sydney Motorsport Park and Queensland Raceway, and their factory in Dandenong. There's Nick Higgins, car number 71, made his way back out on track.
Okay, and Nick's done a great job with this. Like, it looks like the car from the day. It's got good sponsors from the top. You know, he has a ball out here.
Pretty good looking car for a guy that does science for a living, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
He's probably done half the cars out there on the field. He lives that sort of that detail.
Yeah, he sure does, and I mean, you just can't get away from that. Peter Fowler did with that car.
And I tell you, one of the things about that car, when it comes past where you are watching trackside, and this is the thing, I love live streaming because you can see the the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and you can see all these other different racing around the world, but live and in all dimensions, when that thing comes past and it shakes the ground on you, it is absolutely well and truly worthwhile getting trackside and making that work. Again, just letting everybody know we have got some technical issues here with the second microphone that Brett is working with us on. We're rectifying that, hopefully. Here's the number 69 Rover, which we touched on there as well. That's Martin Ball, the Rover SD1. And he is currently sitting in 11, so just off that bubble, if you like. So you get to 10 and the bubble bursts, and away you go. Number 95, very synonymous, this the car with the Advantage managed part of the Holden dealer team's life, if you like, when it went to the mobile operated outfit.
And that's Martin Regularity's for that car started to use a great car, just a straight so he's gone into this, which is fantastic. He's a really category as much as he can, and coming all the way over from South Australia. So, and he's really encouraged Malala to take on this category over the last couple of years, which is sort of gives the category scope.
It's Travis Kirby on screen currently, P3 in the Regularity, and this car looks the goods. It's interesting, every time you drive out to Winton Motor Raceway, you go past the old Cullen's Super Selvage, and those cars look fairly similar to this. It's not quite the operation it used to be, the Super Selvage there on the outskirts of Benalla, as we see the FX just cruising around there, waving the other cars through. In fact, we have got the checkered flag dropped on this session. And, sorry, the FJ, Kim DeBritt, car number 30. And car number 30 doesn't feature in the top 20 there. So got a bit of thought to do around that. There's the Starion that Brett touched on earlier. The number 64 probably would have run in a traditional Winton 300 type of Group E trim here, and with the likes of Peter Fitzgerald and Brad Jones, maybe not driving that particular tribute style of livery, but certainly the Starions. Kevin Bartlett, I think, drove them. Brad Jones also got behind the wheel of the Starions, and certainly were in that Group E trim of racing, the piece of kit to get on with. There's the car, or the livery of the car that Wayne Gardner started his time in touring cars, and he was just as good. And this is an argument that we can have, and I'm sure people are about to start arguing about it, Brett. He was just as good on four wheels as he was on two, but he just was the wild riding style didn't equate to a driving style, did it?
No, it sure didn't. But and his old boss works out here at Winton. So big thanks to Jeff Breach over the weekend. Jeff's been fantastic helping us out. So yeah, but Jeff and Wayne, I'm sure that they had a few arguments over how to run the car back in the day, but it's great to see Reg Kamal out there with that car, so yeah, it's great.
Brett, thank you very much. Challenging technical times for the two of us here in the commentary booth. We've only just met in the last few weeks, and any closer to the one microphone, the two of us would have been having a little kiss there, but I'm sure we'll have a few frothy beers later on and ensure we have a great night. Excellent to have the tribute cars here. They will be back on right throughout tomorrow as well. The final day of the 2024 Winton Festival of Speed. It's been a really, really strong turnout of entries right across all categories, and everybody working feverishly to keep their cars going. A couple of updates, particularly out of the historic sports sedans coming through from last night, and sports sedans staying true to themselves and being quite vulnerable when they get pushed hard. Damien Johnson, who had a broken gearbox, fixed, and he'll be back running today. Tony Ross in the blue FX had no fuel pressure. I think they fixed it last night. Jason Maris in the Charger, sadly gearbox problems and out for the meeting. So plenty of those sorts of tales going on throughout the pit and paddock. Brett Florence has jumped in here with me, super passionate about these tributes, and indeed Brett, your heart's been beating true for the last 6 months for this actual entire event, hasn't it?
It certainly has, mate, and there's a couple of the same issues with some of these cars. Had a couple of broken things overnight, but a couple of the guys got the cars back out the track. Unfortunately, there's one that didn't, but that's the way it goes with motorsport, as we know.
It certainly is. Now, for those that weren't here yesterday, Brett, just give us a rundown on the ethos of this tribute cars, because that car on screen to me looks pretty real. Looks like it's straight from the Group C era.
Well, look, fortunately, there's a lot of guys with old Commodore Cup cars or saloon cars that basically were sitting in sheds. So we encourage those guys to get out there and, instead of running deliveries of what they were in that period, they've elected to go to a Group C or Group A livery, which is what we've got here. A lot of these cars traditionally ran in a very slow regularity class. So with the VHRR, we've sort of adopted this principle of a fast regularity or a super sprint, and we, as a result, we've got 30 odd cars regularly on the track, and there's probably another 10 or 15 that are being built. And the concept is, try and pick a privateer's livery or, something different that's not part of heritage touring cars. So that way, the crowd get to see all the liveries of the period.
Interesting you say that, because we've just got two of the more better known ones, the Mobile Holden dealer team and the Shell Dick Johnson racing team, of course, in that era post-cigarette sponsors. The oil companies picked up the spots, didn't they? And that's just what we're seeing on screen now. But the Trans-Alloy car, and there's numerous other cars, Dylan Innes's VL Walkinshaw bodied car as well. For all intents and purposes, you walk past it and you're watching the real Perkins outfit of the day. That's
exactly right. And then, differently, we've got that little IROC Porsche, which was, Cam Smith had it sitting in a shed and decided to come out and, that's done to the Danny Holm colour scheme. And, what a fabulous driver worldwide Danny was.
Yeah, absolutely. And that entire IROC series was littered with huge names, wasn't it? You had to be something like a world champion or an IndyCar champion or a NASCAR champion or a Can-Am champion of the day to get a ride in that all Porsche series.
Yeah, exactly. So and it's open to various cars. We've had interest from old guys with old Group N cars that want to come and have a run as well. So that are just sitting in sheds.
So we look back in the distance there. There's the Holm Porsche, of course, the Harvey Moffat VK Commodore Moffat replica. Of course, this beautiful looking number 15 Bluebird streaking through our screen. There's Nick Higgins' Corolla. Caught up with Nick last night. A more enthusiastic guy going racing you won't find, will you?
No, you're right there. He's a one of an own. And
right in front of him, the Starion as well.
And that's a cool car. That was a period Group E car that did the Winton 300 back in the 80s. Owned by the same family, the Gibbs family.
Wow, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Mm.
Some really good tribute liveries there. Of course, there's the number 16, famous for Grice and Percy winning at Mount Panorama. Win Percy, of course, who would come out here supporting the Walkinshaw organisation after driving Silk Cut Le Mans cars and all sorts of things, come here and support Gricey when he finally, you'd have to say, nearly at the end of his touring car career, he was a factory driver.
Yeah, exactly. He went from the black hat to
being the General's finest general, really, wasn't he?
Exactly.
Gricey's still around the sport these days as well, a little bit less than what he was, but he was supporting his son Ben, who we see running in Trans Ams these days.
Yeah, exactly. But,
great support here from Aussie Soils and Paved, McDonald Automotive in Wangaratta, and Cave Hill Engines in Lilydale. So fantastic to have local and Melbourne-based support thrown at these cars. And like all things motorsport, Brett, they come from far and wide, and whether it be suburbia or out in the country.
Exactly, and we've got Equity One on board for the whole weekend, and we also got Wonderland RV, which is a new sponsor for caravans. They came on board as well for the whole weekend, and our traditional sponsors with Shannon's and Cool Drive. So we've had the sponsors have come on board to really support the whole event which is great.
When you look at the people camping here over the weekend, when you look at the crowds that were here yesterday, I don't have a number on that, but there was certainly a very large crowd here for a Saturday, and you know, you've got competing adventures on a Saturday, particularly if you've got kids, you've got sport, and different bits and pieces you get to. So we're looking forward to seeing a nice crowd assemble here today. And what is absolutely awesome is the celebration of the Ford versus Holden, in particular the Mustang, and all of those cars supporting the show and shine going on behind the control tower on the old main straight has been absolutely fantastic.
Mate, there's some awesome Mustangs in there, and I'm a Holden fan, but you've got to appreciate them, that's for sure.
I agree. At the moment it is Ian Smith in the number 95 leading the way in the tribute
Mobile
Regularity.
Commodore. And you've got Travis Kirby, who's in the Citizen Watches Commodore, coming second. And then the little bluebird of Shane McDonald, who's one of the sponsors, he's up into third now. So they're doing a great job.
I guess one of the good things about this tribute, and looking under the bonnet of the Transalloy car, was a good mate of mine, Johnny Pilotto, out of the Victorian Sports Sedan Championship. It's not a carburetted engine in there, it's an injected engine, so with that comes a fair bit of joy of availability of parts and things like that out of a more modern car. So that, I would suggest, being that when I was racing seriously, I chose one of the world's hardest engines to find bits for around the world, and enjoying freedom of availability is very important with any sort of racing car as far as parts are concerned.
Oh, absolutely. And but you know, Commodore stuff's starting to get as hard as you know, some of the other things these days. So, you know, and that car of Phil Davis's is a very, very well put together car. It's a beautiful looking thing.
Here's an interesting car as well. 326, this Jaguar V12.
And there's a Transalloy car there. And it's a fast car too. He's just gone past the Wayne Gardner VN Commodore with Strathfield car radios, and Reg, who owns that car, used to own the Strathfield car radio store in Shepparton.
Oh,
He's
right.
local.
Yep.
So
they were a prolific organisation, weren't they?
They sure
I think
were.
they got gazumped by Crazy Johns there at one stage. Was it's all about having the Telstra Mobile Net dealership as far as that was concerned. The Jag was Vincent Neville XJS, 5.3 litre V12, and of course we hark back to that victory with Walkinshaw with John Goss, his last victory at Mount Panorama.
Were they a magnificent car?
Yeah, Mike Roddy, every now and again we see him burning around in his car, which is one of those original pieces of equipment.
One of the cars that's currently under construction is a XJS, and it's being built to the Group 44 spec from the US.
Right.
And it'll be running the V12 engine, and it's a great machine. It's currently under construction at the moment. The owner, Brett by the name, actually, he plans to have that on the track later this year or early next year.
Yep. A good look now at the 16 of Patrick Kirby. In fact, no, it's not.
It's David Thomas.
David Thomas, yes.
And if if you want to see a car that's built to exact replica, that'll be closest you'll ever get. He has minutely gone down that track, had a lot of input from George Fury and advice.
Yep.
And David made friends and sought all sorts of advice on how to set the car up and what it did in the day.
Yeah, that's got to be hard to get someone interested, I think, if you're going to try and do that, you do have to have someone from the era, or a mechanic or a driver or a team owner or something that is interested in what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to be pushing pretty hard to gather photos and different bits and pieces. And one of the things I noticed yesterday when I wandered through these garages was how much, and when you start talking to someone, they'll take great joy in telling you how much they've gone to the troubles, and then will point out the one thing that they haven't done right. And so you're well aware of it.
Yes, and Aaron Noonan from V8 Sleuth, Aaron's helped us, various drivers out with photos. throughout the time, and as well as auto picks. So, the guys are sourcing as many photos as they can.
Certainly Aaron's website, V8 Sleuth, I guess if you're running in that Falcon that's just about to turn into turn 9 there it is. That is certainly his bread and butter. That's how he started out, was tracking chassis numbers and owners of vehicles, and he's got so much resource as far as that sort of thing is worth. It's well and worth checking out the V8 Sleuth website, not only to get onto our live streaming here this weekend, so it's great to have V8 Sleuth on board in that respect, but stay there and linger a while on his website, because there's so much information, breaking news and things like that they do there. But if you're into touring cars, and predominantly of the V8 era, but there's certainly other stuff in there that will keep you well and truly interested.
And that Falcon was a DJR spare chassis, I believe, and was turned into a saloon car, and then the current owner, John Hoskins, he purchased it and has turned it back into the DJR car as you see it. So it's got some DJR original components on it, he said. So, but here we've got, it's an unfortunate sight, but the Thompson VW sports sedan. And Peter Fowler's had a great weekend, but clearly now it's got an issue, which is unfortunately, and it's a Shepparton local car, if you like.
Simon Fitzner engaged these guys to build this car for him, and Simon is prolific amongst the historic sports sedan owners, and one of the favoured sports sedans. It's the most ungainly, I guess, of the era anyway. Anyone thought when they bought that out, they've just gone looping mad. But it was set lap records and won championships all over the place. And Tomo and Peter Fowler, that combination was massive, wasn't it?
It sure was. And they've got that Mercedes here as well to match it up. So what a beautiful pair of cars.
So that is the tribute Regularity done there. Brett, just run us down through how that's panned out.
So Phil Jones has come in first with Ian Smith. Cam Smith in the IROC Porsche has come in third. You got McDonald, Higgins, Jolly, and then you got Gibbs, Dearden, Neville, Whincup, Taylor and Reynolds. And then Dylan Innes has come out in 13th.
Big thanks to McDonald Automotive for all their support. Nevco Easy Approach Trailers helping out with these cars. And when you look at some of the front air dams on these cars, or spoilers, splitters, whatever you want to call them, one of those Easy Approach trailers would be awesome. It'd be just what you want.
Yeah, right there.
Leave the spoiler on, drive it straight on, and head off home. There's the SD1 Rover we had a look at yesterday. But certainly a job well done by all of them there, and we thank the McDonald Automotive crew from 166 Tone Road, Wangaratta. Check them out at McDonaldAutomotive15 at gmail.com to see what they're all about. We'll take a quick break. Brett, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll have you back up here again for Regularity Tribute at 2:15. And maybe a couple of guest spots along the way as well. But thank you very much, Brett. The Tribute car's an awesome addition. It really does give you the look in the rear vision mirror and remember the good old days, I guess.
It sure does, mate.
Thank you, Brett. We thank all of the people from behind the scenes at the VHRR for organising these fantastic events. Well turned out, well entered events, and they do such a tremendous job. I'm Darren Smith, been joined right alongside me, Brett Francis, who is kind of like a proud granddad, probably not old enough to be a granddad just yet, but certainly a proud father of this category and someone who's been instrumental in making sure that these cars have a place to entertain us.
Thanks, Darren. Yes, this category is growing and growing each year. We started it 4 years ago, and slowly but surely we've got more and more cars. We started out with about 12 cars, and now we're up to 33. So, and there's plenty in the wind being built, which is fantastic. So
there's plenty of motivation for people. Like I touched on it earlier, where you see something and as a kid you really enjoyed it, and then you can't get the real thing because it's been sold to the UK or it was wrecked or whatever it might be. The very next thing you can do in your life is to turn around and build one.
Well, that's exactly right. I was just talking to Aaron Noonan from V8 Sleuth just earlier, and like Aaron pointed out, the Pershing Grice VN out there is now, the 015 car, the 94 spec car. We'll never see that car again, and here it is out here having, a run. So, and there's plenty of that stuff out here, which is great. And these guys are doing a regularity, and they're doing a fast time as well. So where the traditional regularity is up around that 150 mark, these guys are down to 136, which is a quick speed around here.
Well, and it doesn't come easily as well. You've got to prove your wares. You can't just be given the grace to do that, can you? You've just got to show that you're going to be sensible about it, and there's not going to be some high-speed comings together and bits and pieces like that. And I think what we're talking about here with the tribute cars as well, and the Group U sports sedans are doing the same thing. They're slowly being allowed, because they're being sensible. Yeah, you can pass, but it's making sure the guy in front sees you and you make the pass. And that's part of the thrill of doing it as well.
Yeah, that's right. You've got, like you said earlier, you've got Nick Higgins out there in that Corolla, and he's been doing IPRA racing, which is
under 2 litre sports sedans, IPRA, and now tribute racing.
Yeah, exactly.
Something every weekend in the little Corolla.
Yeah, which is a fantastic car. Look, it's out here and it looks the part, which is great.
And I've got to say, Nick is one of the more enthusiastic people around motorsport. He gets you G'd up. You follow him with his passion and enthusiasm. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, it is. And like that VN that I was just talking about, that Percy Grice HRT car. That car actually started out as an old rally car.
Yeah, right.
And Paddy Kirby refurbed it, and there's some old Commodore Cup cars in there, and so it's a way of getting those categories who have since died back out on the track in a different format. Yep,
yeah, we're seeing it across the screen now. Who didn't love something P. Brock sort of based there, and that's the real basic first of the Group A Commodores. No bonnet bulges, no rear spoilers, no side skirts, not even just a front bumper really off a VK SS.
That's the very 85, that 85 look. So from Bathurst, didn't
even have the blue meanie type grille in it. It's just got the 3-4 slats from the factory, and away you go.
Closely followed by the year after. And this, as you know, this car's got Johnny Ippolito's old sports sedan engine in it. It's a quick thing, this one.
This car embodies something about Australian motorsport which we all love, and that is that someone could have gone to the biggest race in the country at the time at Mount Panorama and had a go.
That's right.
We can't do that anymore, sadly. You can go there at Easter and you can do the 6 hour and join with 70 other cars on the track and be crowded, but it's not the 1,000. And there was many privateers with so many great stories here. You talk of so many different competitors, John English and all these, Brett Youlden and all these other names that did it. I spoke to Brett Youlden about his experience there on the Grassroots Racing podcast, and he said we were sponsored by Marathon Dim Sims. We were the Dim Sim car of all things.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right, and we've encouraged a lot of the guys with these cars to, even though we've got the mobile liveries, we've got a lot of the guys are now starting to look for the round by round change livery, the privateer livery, so it's not the normal Dick Johnson, Peter Brock type thing. They're starting to look left of field, which is great.
I'm looking for a Cherry Ripe car, a bit of Peter Jansen sort of work and stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? Schweppes and Cherry Ripe and bits and pieces like that. The formation finish of the last of the big bangers, the VKs, with Jansen spinning down mountain straight in the back of the shot.
Absolutely. I said to these guys with the 3 mobile cars, come down the main straight 3x3 and recreate Spa from 86.
The King's Cup.
So.
But look, it's an avenue of accessing motorsport, isn't it? Not everyone's enthralled by a go-kart or a Formula V or a Formula Ford or a one-make XL or anything like that. They want to run what excites them.
That's exactly right, and it's given these guys an opportunity to get out there. The cars are fantastic. They look great, and they sound the part. So, and you look at the VL there, the Perkins Engineering car. Like, that's exceptional. Anyone that is in the crowd here today, go and have a look at that car. It is exceptional.
Yeah, Dylan's done a ripping job on that. We touched on it yesterday, didn't we? It was a quiet little COVID project that got pretty serious pretty quickly, and
sure
they've
has.
just rolled out a magic-looking race car, and in all intents and purposes, it's one step from the actual real thing, and that's motivated him to build it. It's motivated him to bring the car to the track and run it, and run it hard.
Yeah.
On that note, let's have a bit of a look, because we are here competing for something. The 53 of Jones has gone through with the fastest time, was second fastest behind David Rowell. So Phil Jones is in the 53.
Then you've got Graham Wincup in the Bob Jane XU1. You've got Trav Kirby, and he's in the Citizen Watches Commodore. Hayden Ivers. It's actually just changed. It's gone to Carl Gibbs. It's running the Starion. Kim DeBritt is running around in the FJ Holden, and that's an interesting car. That car was built by Dave Ryan from Rare Spares, and Dave ran that in Targa in Mexico before he's returned it back here to Australia, and it's a fantastic, quick car. And speaking of Nick Higgins, he's up into 7th. And Shane McDonald's in 8th. Gary Barker, who's a good friend of Graham Wincup's, is in 9th, and then Nick Taylor's in 10th in another Commodore.
Here's one of the things which you just touched on there. Friends of someone, and they've gone, I'd like to go racing, but I'd really like to race the XYZ car. It doesn't exist anymore, mate. You can't even find the shell to give it any provenance or anything like that.
That's right.
Oh, well, let's go and find some photos. Like you said, contact the V8 Sleuth and see if he's got some photos, and you put the word out on social media in these days, and the whole community sort of swings behind it. You'll find that there's 2 or 3 other like-minded people that might even help you do it. That's
right, and the beauty of Facebook, and the groups that are connected to, heritage touring cars or this group, there's always the odd photo that pops up, and someone goes, oh, geez, that's your car.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. So, Philip Jones in the black and yellow car. We've seen a lot of that Transalloy car this weekend. He's the fastest out on track. The number 7 is the Holden Tirana
of Graham
Wincup is 3rd. Kirby, who's been across the top of the timesheets as well. Travis in the red, white and blue Commodore. You just touched on the Citizen livery. Back to Gibbs in the 64, which is the Starion. And that is also something very different. I've got to say, it's probably... I love the Starions when KB was running them, and they ran them in the Mitsubishi Works liveries. They were very cool, but certainly this is a one-off type of car that these guys are running with that. And going straight up to position number 2 now is Travis Kirby in the Citizen Commodore. Nick Higgins into 5. Wincup down, now outside the top 5 there. So the little Corolla... The great leveller is the ticking the boxes in regularity, and I think someone might have sat down with Nick and explained to him how regularity works between yesterday and today, and he's nominated the right time for him, so he's ticking the boxes, isn't he?
He sure is.
The 326 out there, Vincent Neville as well. That's the Jaguar XJS, the black one, which looks quite menacing around the place. Nothing quite like the E-Type in the invited British and MG cars, and they're coming up in 2 events' time. That's actually evil looking, like a Batmobile type of thing. But Neville now into 6th. And the number 15, David Thomas, now in the Nissan Bluebird. So he was up a little bit further yesterday in that car. Certainly in the Group C, the 15 and the 16 cars have been going very well.
They sure have, and David's done a good job with that car. He spent a lot of time, as I said earlier, with George Fury and getting some advice on car setup and how to run it and building it to period specs. So he's gone to that extreme where other guys have sort of taken their own engineering, I suppose, view on things.
Slowing down now in the 53 here for Phil Jones is now been pushed off the top spot. In fact, where has Phil ended up now? Locked down to 20th. So there you go. You have a hiccup. and you get pushed back down. So it's not of great concern that he is slowing on this particular lap, because he's set his regularity times over 4 laps or 5 laps now, so can certainly slow down. It's not going to harm the result. It's not like we're racing to the checkered flag.
No, that's right.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, exactly. And, look, it's a category that could potentially go that way.
So Nick Higgins now into 3. It's the number 6 of Cameron Smith in the 911 IROC, the blue car, which has just such a distinctive, that flat 6 sound. It's almost like if you close your eyes, you could be in a French countryside listening
exactly
to
right,
a 24-hour race in the 70s, couldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And interesting, this yellow and black 69 Mustang's a genuine Boss 302. He's from Swan Hill, and every now and again he's a wheat farmer, and he'll pose a photo with the Mustang towing a combine harvester.
Got to get it unbogged with something.
Yeah, exactly.
Throw the grunt at it. There's the Commodore we're talking about in the Danny Holm livery, and there is the Starion we're talking about, the Gibbs car, Recar outfit, Group E sort of trim. There were some fearsome races with 50 and 60 cars in Group E. I remember the Winton 300 here, or back in '89 we were running a VN V8 with Max Bonney and another guy from Ballarat. I can't remember who was driving it, and those Starions were in that race as well in the Group E spec.
And they were fast little cars.
They were very fast, yeah. Yeah, in that time, the rules had been written around getting the EA and the VN up and running, so the Ford and Holden battle could be waged. But certainly they hung in there. And even to a greater extent, the Swift GTIs were quite prevalent in there as well. This Escort's doing a brilliant job. In fact, recently up as far as 5 in the field now. Just been knocked back out to 20 just as I was watching that car get dropped out. So missed the target or gone out too fast in the last lap.
And you've only got to get balked by, a dice, and that'll throw you right out. So, this Rover, this is a cool car.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Factory livery. Looks really good. Pretty simple Rover livery there, and it was certainly a car, particularly in the British Touring Car Championship, which was dominant for quite some time with the Walkinshaw Racing outfit and others. There was others that were very good at it. It wasn't just Walkinshaw that owned everything Rover.
And you see plenty of those racing at the Spa historic events these days.
Here comes the 15 Bluebird. There's the Starion, and here comes Nick Higgins in the 77 Corolla. Gone to great effort to get those graphics period correct. John Faulkner, John Smith, Paul Stokel, Andrew Smith driving those cars in the 1000 back in the class battle era.
Nick's taking great pride in himself, lifting at wheel all the time through the corners.
Keeps saying he's saving tyres. He's been listening to the commentators for too long. Keep all paws on the road, mate. You're faster.
But he runs that in many, many categories. There he goes.
Yeah. You see Macca's business on the back there, the Pro Cut outfit. They're running a Monaro in improved production here in Victoria, in McLennan. Pro Cut services. So that's testament to how many events he's doing. He's got to run each and every different category's series sponsors. He's got to find space on the car.
But he has a ball. That's the main thing.
And I'm pretty sure they're all having an absolute ball. You're not going to go car racing if you're not. It's no matter what way you look at it, it's expensive, even if you're doing it on a shoestring. Interesting iteration and a rear wing on that one.
Yes, this car does run in IPRA actually, Stuart Dearden. He normally runs a XB Falcon Coupe in the Moffat 25 livery.
Oh, yep.
City Ford livery. But it's had a bit of an engine issue, so he dragged out the EA to keep his spot.
Why not, if you can do it? That's an amazing tribute livery, that one, isn't it? The battles that we saw Alan Moffat in the Coke Mustang wage over so many years. Checkered flag has been waved.
It looks like Cab Travis Kirby came in first with Carl Gibson the Stallion, and Nick Higgins came in third. You've got Vincent Neville, by the look of it, who's come in fourth. Cam Smith in the Porsche, fifth. Shane McDonald in the Bluebird is sixth. Ian Smith in a Commodore is seventh. Graham Wincup in the Tirana XU1, eighth. Stewie Dearden in ninth. And Max McKay rounds out the 10 in another Commodore.
Just noticed Hayden Ivers in that number 9 Alan Moffat Racing liveried. He's coming to 13th there as well.
That's right, mate. Looks like someone's had an off right at the end.
Bit of dust up in the air. Well done, Brett. Like I said, you're the father, or one of the fathers, or surrogate dad to all of these guys out there. Worked very, very hard. I know when I was talking to Aaron Noonan about this, he was glowing in your endorsement of the way you've been going here, and I guess you're sending customers to him as well to research their cars.
Yeah, look, there's another guy that helped us out at the beginning of this, Neville Cattels. He's a local Benalla guy, and he was one of the first guys to actually build a tribute car, and he's not running at the moment, but he's equally as responsible for creating what we have here as well.
Well, thank you very much, Brett. That's been fantastic to see these tribute cars. It is the first time I've seen them live. Read a lot about them, read them where they've been going and the builds and different bits and pieces. But full credit to everyone that's running these cars. They've done a brilliant job. No matter what way anyone looks at it, going car racing is not easy. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it.
That's right.
It's certainly a path less tread, and it always amuses me when people go, "Oh, if someone just gave me a car, I'm sure I could race it to a win." It's like, because that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. I wish we could all do that.
Yeah. I'll just give me the car. I'm sure I can drive it for you, buddy. Yeah.
I know. I'd like that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd just like to rock up with a helmet and driving suit and go and drive, and then at the end wander away.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about the work.
Well, we have got sports sedans up for their regularity coming up on, or sprint coming up on next, as we bid the tribute cars adieu for this particular event. Been great having them on as part of the Winton Festival of Speed for 2024. Sports sedans will be on track next. Thank you very much, Brett.
Thanks, mate.